Six Flags has had a rocky few years recently, and the chain was struggling so much they've switched CEOs twice in the last 5 years. Six Flags isn't in as bad of a position as they once were though. Six Flags just made a massive investment into one of their parks and it truly looks spectacular. While Six Flags may look to be struggling on the outside, once you see and hear all the investments Six Flags has been making into improving their parks, I think you're gonna agree that the future of the Six Flags chain is as bright as it ever was. I've visited multiple Six Flags parks the last couple of years, and I wasn't ever impressed with the park setting. You go to Six Flags for the rides, not because it looks beautiful like Busch Gardens or something. To me, a classic Six Flags park was best described as a parking lot with a bunch of rides plopped down in it and maybe a few trees here and there. This is all changing though. Take Six Flags Great Adventure for example. Six Flags Great Adventure for the 2022 season got a brand new entrance sign on the highway and a brand new security booth. The park opened a brand new bathroom and improved several areas of the park. The park also repainted the bulk of their coasters in the years leading up to 2022 and repainted Batman for the 2022 season. These improvements were very much necessary, but we're only scratching the surface for what Six Flags was planning for the 2023 season. I visited Six Flags Great Adventure early in the 2023 season and there were a couple of new park improvements, but I recently visited the park again and it looks a whole lot better. For starters, they added a lot of spruce ups in scenery throughout the park. Some parts of the park saw new landscaping, new planters, and even new trees. To add on top of that, Six Flags Great Adventure also added a bunch of stands throughout the park with information regarding rides throughout the park. These stands include park maps and ride height requirements to make it even more convenient for park visitors to have the best experience possible. These aren't even the craziest things the park has done for 2023 though. Six Flags Great Adventure had this area early in the season where you could walk under empty arches where it looked like something was missing. It just felt empty and felt like the park was being lazy. But recently, they really added something awesome there. Six Flags Great Adventure put up signs featuring former park logos and even logos for Hurricane Harbor and the park's Link Safari attraction. There are a whole lot of other improvements throughout the park this year for the 2023 season, including the reopening of an old ride Brainstormer. Before I get to the large investment in Six Flags Great Adventure for 2023, I gotta give a shout out to Colliwood Studios. If you want all the latest information and updates on Six Flags Great Adventure, then you gotta check out his channel cause he'll be the first to update you. Six Flags Great Adventure also spent around $1 million on a brand new train for Nitro. This gives the park a fourth train, allowing them to run 3 trains on the coaster all season long, as they can always be working on one without affecting the coaster's operations. Nitro's new train came along with a brand new paint scheme, and I believe the park has now repainted all 3 of Nitro's former trains in the same blue and gray color scheme the new train came with. The park also repainted the entrance and exit ramps and steps for Nitro to go along with the new color scheme. It seems Nitro will most definitely be getting repainted for the 2024 season, and hopefully this repainting project will come along with a brand new entrance sign, cause this ride desperately needs it. Before I get to 2024 investments for this park and Nitro's repainting project, we have to talk about what I'm going to call the single best investment Six Flags has made in the last decade. No, it's not a B&M Giga Coaster or an RMC T-Rex. In fact, it's not even a coaster at all. The investment I'm talking about is a brand new garden. Before you think I'm crazy, I want you to look at this video on screen. This new garden is called the Arboretum. I'm still not sure how to pronounce that name. Just look at this. This does not in any way look like something you'd see at a Six Flags park. I'd even say this looks like it could be at Busch Gardens. This new garden is truly awesome, and when I was walking through it on my last visit, it really changed my opinion on the Six Flags chain. While Six Flags may not be opening massive coasters right now, I think these investments, especially at a park like Great Adventure, are worth more than a coaster. It's worth to skip out on 2 to 3 years of major ride investments to spend money on fixing up the parks. Six Flags Great Adventure is looking the best I've ever seen it, and I think this is a great path to be heading down. A nicer park usually leads to guests spending more time visiting aside from riding the rides, and that leads to more in-park spending and a better overall guest experience. If guests come to Six Flags and have a top-tier experience, they are so much more likely to visit the park again that season, and that's exactly what Six Flags wants. There's so much going on with the Six Flags chain and their new business model, but there's one major problem. Attendance at the parks in the Six Flags chain have been on the decline. Having a park that isn't packed to the brim isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you still want to have decent crowds at the park. Thrill seekers are the primary audience Six Flags currently caters to, and it would take years of investing in family rides to change Six Flags to a family-themed park destination. Six Flags is getting to the point where they are going to have to start investing in major coasters again, and 2024 seems like the year they will finally once again build a major coaster. Six Flags Great Adventure's 50th anniversary is in 2024, and I think the park is going to get a ton of great things in honor of that. First of all, there will be Nitro's new paint scheme, and I'm sure they'll add a bunch of minor improvements throughout the park like it did the past 2 years. The big question is, will it get a coaster? And I think the answer to that question is yes. If any Six Flags park gets a major new coaster in 2024, I think Great Adventure is the most likely. But I think if they do get a coaster, it will be one no one saw coming. Six Flags Great Adventure was rumored to be getting a B&M Giga Coaster, and while I highly doubt that will happen in the next few years, it does tell us something very interesting. Six Flags was thinking of spending around $30 million at Great Adventure for 2024. I think this tells us a lot, and there are a few ways I think this goes. The first possibility I think could happen for Six Flags is for them to open a brand new family coaster. I think something from Vekoma, similar to Big Bear Mountain at Dollywood, could be a perfect fit at this park, or potentially even a family B&M wing coaster. The reason I give these coaster options is because they aren't necessarily that expensive and would leave a bunch of room to theme the ride or for other spending in honor of the park's anniversary. I think Six Flags will open some highly themed coasters over the next couple of years. I'm not saying we're going to see Disney or Universal level theming coming, because I most definitely don't think that will happen. But I could see theming at least as good as some of the coasters Cedar and SeaWorld have opened in the last couple of years. A mini B&M wing coaster that is decently themed could be one of the greatest investments to the park. It could function as a super unique family coaster and would have terrific capacity. A themed B&M wing coaster would also look beautiful at the park and would be a coaster that could round out the lineup of one of the greatest parks in the world even more. If Six Flags does go the family route for their future coasters, then I think we'll see a lot better theming. Though it may be a while before we see any record breakers coming to any of their parks. That's what leads me to the second option I could see happening in 2024. Six Flags could open a Premier Rides multi-launch coaster at Great Adventure similar to West Coast Racers with a little better theming than your average Six Flags coaster. If Six Flags goes this direction, then I expect the chain to continue beautifying the parks while continuing to appeal to the thrill audience. The coasters Six Flags opens in the next few years will tell us a lot about the direction they are headed in. Regardless of whether we're heading towards family theme parks or if we're heading towards Cedar Fair style amusement parks, I think the future of the Six Flags chain is as bright as it ever was. Thanks to Salim Basul with the new Six Flags, you know you're getting a quality experience, and while it may not come with the craziest new coasters, at least you know you're gonna have a great time at a park we'll be able to call an amusement park, and not just a parking lot filled with rides. Not just my opinion on what Six Flags is currently doing, but I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, then you've got to watch my video on the rise and fall and rise again of Six Flags Great Adventure. This mini documentary truly goes through the rough times this park has had over the years and why I think their future is brighter than ever.